first official podcast by myself. It's a little bittersweet. And I see my circles are still going here, so hang on. Anyway, some of the sites I'm on aren't going to hear everything because I started a minute too soon. So anyway, this is a hobby that I decided I wanted to start. Just like, the little old lady looking for something to do, I suppose. Anybody that knows me knows I've always been interested in crime. So when we had to make a decision as to what direction we were going, crime was definitely picked. Not only because of me, but because it seems to be what everybody's interested in today. I want you to know, I'm on a crime page actually, and I keep seeing people posting how they want to listen to this podcast, that podcast, because they've already finished another one. If this is where you really like to be and you're at home, you just want to sit and relax, ID Channel does a lot. Forensic Files is a good one to watch. It's not a podcast, but it does go into very deep detail. You'll definitely be glad to hear what they have to say and how they solve these crimes. That's what makes it really interesting. Unfortunately, today's crime was never been solved, and they actually closed the case. So I'm hoping all these years later, somebody will have heard something, knows something. So anyway, bear with me as this, like I said, this is really the first one I've done by myself. It's a little bittersweet because I really enjoyed having my son, but I also am trying to teach myself how to do things on my own. If you know me, I don't even go to the grocery store by myself. So this is definitely an experience for me. So today we're going to talk about the mysterious disappearance of Christopher Thompkins. Beautiful young man. He was born December 28th, 1981, described as a happy, outgoing, hardworking individual. He was 20 years old and devout Christian. He lived with his mother, and they lived in Georgia at the time of his disappearance. He worked for a surveying company as part of a four-man crew, a job he enjoyed. So on January 25th, 2002, this Christopher shows up for work at 8 a.m. He rode in with a coworker to their job site, and it was a wooded area near County Line Road in Harris County, Georgia. Chris and three other surveyors were working in a line formation spaced about 50 feet apart. They stopped for a lunch break at approximately 1:30. Resuming back to work, one of the surveyors, in the middle of a conversation with Chris, when he looked away for a minute, turning his head briefly to check on something. When he looked back only seconds later, Christopher was missing. His tools were still on the ground there. Nothing else was gone, just him. None of the workers had seen or heard anything strange, so at first they assumed he simply walked into the woods to relieve himself. You know how guys do. But after several minutes, when Christopher still hadn't returned, they started searching the area. In searching, they found nothing. No sign of him. No pieces of clothing, no shoes, no nothing. So they had to inform his mother that she was missing. That was about 4:15 p.m. that day. The investigation takes place. Of course, they report him missing. They start the investigation, and they find his boot hanging from the top of a barbed wire fence in a wooded area. It was confirmed to belong to him. On that same fence, they also discovered a blue thread, presumably from Christopher's pants. Some sources report his pants were found too, but it's unclear whether this was accurate or not. Coins also believed to be his were laying on the ground nearby. No blood, no signs of struggle. Without any forensic evidence or eyewitness reports, the investigation hit a standstill. 6 months later, his other work boot was found by a farmer on a private property less than a mile away. This is just I'm sorry. I have a hard time with some of these cases because these are young people and they just disappear and there's no reason, no rhyme. There was nothing else belonging to him that had ever been discovered. In the absence of direct evidence of foul play or any explanations, such as an animal attack or accidental injury, the authorities eventually closed his case, coming to a rather puzzling conclusion that he had simply walked off to start a new life. How often does somebody just walk away to start their new life? I mean, I know we see those shows on TV and, like especially Lifetime and stuff like that. But how realistic is it that you do it in real life? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but at 20 years old, I can't imagine. So his fellow surveyors had never been investigated as suspects in his disappearance either. Though one of them retained a lawyer immediately after Christopher went missing. Why? Why do you retain a lawyer because one of your coworkers come up missing unless you're involved or unless you know something that you're refusing to bring forward? So neither their identities nor the name of the surveying company has ever been released to the public. It is known, however, that Ann McKenzie, Christopher's mother, knew and worked as a babysitter for the owner of the company. Additionally, one of the surveyors was convicted of an unrelated violent crime and given a long prison sentence just months after his disappearance. All of this is just still, I don't know, it's so unreal to me. You're reading all of this and you're trying to get things going and try to make things happen. And I'm still with you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out why one of my windows isn't working. I do apologize to you. Computers are tricky things, but it's okay. I'll get it all down pat, and hopefully everybody will just bear with me while we do this. So you have to wonder, is that person that was convicted of another crime, was he involved? I mean, sometimes, they say a criminal's a criminal. You never know. And then trying to make sure everybody's hearing me. If you can hear me and, let me know. I'm really nervous doing this by myself. So Christopher's boss reportedly said that he had been acting strangely that day leading up to his disappearance, but never elaborated on the ambiguous statement. Okay, so you have an employee, he's acted strangely. You don't, just watch a little bit closer, make sure everything's good. I don't understand that. Anne refuted this assertion about her son's behavior, saying that Chris lived with her and she saw him every day. That there was neither strange behavior on his part or any other, no distress, no nothing. And she went on to say that she believed Christopher was a victim of foul play and that his co-workers knew more than they told the investigators. She said, I wonder why she thinks that. I mean, is it because he's there 1 minute and gone, and then all of a sudden these guys are like, oh, hey. Let's see. This lady, and I'm sure this stands true for today, quote, I truly believe that my son, with all my heart, that my son is no longer alive. However, I need closure. I need to know what happened that day and where my son's body is. Imagine going 21 years not knowing where your child is or what's gone on with them. Given its association with the controversial missing 411 cases in which people have mysteriously vanished in the wilderness, a number of bizarre theories have risen up and about, and including everything from alien abduction to Bigfoot. Now, to me, I think that's a little bit of an insult to the situation. Sadly, Christopher's case is no longer being actively investigated, and there have been no further developments, but his remaining family and friends, as well as those who are familiar with his case, hope to one day have a definite answer as to what happened to him on that day in January 2022. So there's actually a poll about this young man. Feel free to go on my website and answer how you feel, and we can bring this back up at a later day. Some say he ran off to start a new life. He was a victim of foul play and his coworkers knew something about it. He was attacked and or abducted by cryptid, Bigfoot, etc. Or he was abducted by aliens. Now, there's really only two legit answers on this. Cracks me up. I mean, people seem to make a joke out of things. I wish I had my green screen so I could show you a picture of the young man. But that will be here next week, and we'll be able to put that up. Some of these cases, you get through them faster when you're talking about them than when you're sitting there doing them on your own. I'm going to say this about people disappearing or young people just dying in general. Generally, people just, especially at that age, they don't just up and disappear. Come on, at 20 years old, you know, I'm sure he had a cell phone. There's many different means for him to at least tell his mom, hey, I'm safe, I'm good. But everybody just automatically assumes, okay, they left, you know, da 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 da. Are we going to keep in mind boots were found, threads were found? It's rumored that pants were found. That wasn't verified, but it's out there. And it's definitely a possibility. Now, my big question is, how are you with a 4-man crew plus your boss, and you just disappear without anybody noticing it for a while? Okay, I get that, you know, he might have gone in to relieve himself, as they say. But within minutes, you go looking for him and you don't find the things that others found. Okay, and what we're going to do is somebody's going to help me out here. We're going to get him on speakerphone, and we're going to see how well this works. Because she definitely has something to say.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Angelina.
Ah.
I hear you have something to say about this case.
I do. So, what do you think? Because with the finding the scraps, like the shoe here and the thing.
You still there?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I got to pause your show because I'm like, oh, wait a second.
Oh.
I'm hearing myself in the background.
And that's what I was just talking about. I mean, seriously, you're standing there with 4 coworkers, well, actually 3 coworkers, because I guess he would be the 4th, a boss, and all of a sudden you disappear. So, okay, it is true. We all know this. Men do go to relieve themselves wherever they want to go.
I know when you said that, I was like, yeah, I can totally see why they would think that.
Yeah, it sounded a little familiar. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take that long to do such a thing. So why did it take them so long to decide, hey, what's going on with this kid? And how did they not see within feet a boot,
Well,
thread?
I almost wonder if that stuff was planted. I wonder if they planted that afterward because the guys didn't find it when they went looking for him, right? And as a surveyor, I'm sure they've probably been there before, been in terrain. Like, I don't know. So it's like, did they go back and plant some random stuff for the cops to find afterwards? Or did something seriously snatch this kid?
I mean, like, do we really believe in a Bigfoot or an alien?
No, but what about a coyote or pack of coyotes grabs them and drags it off or something else? Did you ever see that movie Nope?
Nope. No pun intended.
Maybe some weird creature dragged them off. But more seriously, I mean, I wonder if they did go back and plant this, if they planted a random boot and planted a random thing and then called the cops, because why didn't they find anything when they were looking for him?
And that's what makes me think that they're definitely involved in some way, shape, or form.
And then you said that the one guy got in big trouble shortly after for a crime.
Yeah, and they'd never even listed the crime, so that really makes you wonder. I mean, seriously, how are you standing there talking about somebody, you turn your head and they're just gone? That does not make any sense.
It doesn't, and if they found stuff on a fence, what animal can drag? You figure if he's a male, he's got to be probably between 160 to 200 pounds. I don't know his size, obviously.
It's hard to tell from his picture. His picture actually looks like it could be a high school picture. Yeah, because he looks young. He looks kind of small in stature, but not like tiny.
Yeah. So what could have dragged him off at that point?
I don't know. I'm really having a hard time wrapping my head around this.
And I find it strange that they were so quick to be like,
let's close this.
He ran off. Like, wait, you found he decided to take his shoes off and leave a piece of thread?
Right. And then, like I said, there is rumor that his pants were found, but it's just rumored. There's no concrete evidence of that.
Real weird. It sounds definitely suspicious. And the guy who took him to work would have noticed, like, oh, yeah, he had an extra pair of tennis shoes, but they were gone.
Right. And, I mean, nobody's going to take off and just leave bits and pieces of the clothing. I'm sorry.
well, definitely not your shoes because
Especially
those are kind
right,
of the most important.
right. You're in a wooded area.
Yeah, yeah. It's so strange and scary because it's like, how many things were involved, and it almost makes you wonder if a farmer's going to end up plowing the fields or something and finding a shallow grave.
I know one farmer did find the other boot.
Yeah, that's what makes me think that
Yeah.
maybe they're going to end up finding the body eventually. It's just too bad. It's too bad for the mama that has to go through that
Yeah.
too.
And you have to wonder, it's been 21 years now, so is this mother even still alive to know the whereabouts of her son?
Oh, probably not.
I mean,
And how, as the mom, how do you let this case rest?
I don't know because, there was actually a case here right in Ashtabula, Ohio, years ago. Still hasn't been solved. And every year on the anniversary of that death, that mother is in the paper. She's wherever she can be. I want to know what happened. And she keeps it at the forefront.
Well, and I feel like you'd be saving up for a private investigator of some sort, or, I mean, if that was 21 years ago, social media wasn't obviously
Right.
going to help you out there. Because nowadays, I feel like you could reach out and be like, hey, if anybody,
And,
and I feel like farmers and family in the community would come together and look. And that's something they didn't say either. Like, was there a surrounding community that could have helped look and find him? Did they look this? I mean, he would have had to stop somewhere, right? So
right.
you think this guy ran away, but there was no signs of him stopping in a shop somewhere, a car that would have had to come pick him up somewhere.
Yeah, because especially if it's a rural area, I think I'm saying that right. People
Yeah.
are going to see you on the road or something, even if it's just one car every 10 minutes coming by. Somebody's going to spot you.
Oh yeah, farmers aren't inside sitting on the couch.
Right? Don't you know that?
Yeah, they're outside doing whatever they got to do. So
right.
it would be. So were they not asked? Was this just brushed?
Okay.
So
No.
weird.
I really didn't want to go here with this, but especially back then, I'm really surprised they didn't say a black boy was missing. Face it, they do that.
Oh yeah.
And he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was a black.
Yes. He's a black boy. And
Oh.
none of the races of everybody else is being, oh, okay, so we talked to this kid who's white. And they do that, especially back
Yeah.
then. So
So it
is
could have
this
been
a
a.
racial thing?
Yeah, if it was one black kid working with white surveillance men.
Mm-hmm. And look at where they're located.
Yeah, rural area 21 years ago.
Yes.
Now we know why it was swept under the rug and done. Or
Yes.
maybe it was an accident initially, something happened, and then they were like, oh gosh, we're going to get in trouble. Well, if we hide it and make it look like an accident, nobody's going to look hard.
Mm. And without a
That
body,
really
that's
changes things.
yeah, but without a body, still, that just totally.
Yeah,
My
there's
mind is
no
really
way.
jumbled on this.
Yeah, there's no way 21 years ago, a little boy, well, not little boy, right? But
20.
this boy is, this 20-year-old boy is not going to leave everyone to secretly take a new life. One, you're
Right.
21. You could just go start your new life. Your mom's not going to stop you. She
Right.
can't
That's
stop.
that's when you say, "Hey, mom, it's time for me to move on, and this is what I'm going to do." And the fact that he still lived at home and everything at 20 tells me there's a relationship of some kind with his mom.
And he was probably helping take care of her.
Yes, and
Because you
especially
don't hear talk of dad.
right. And it says that she babysat the surveyor's children or the owner's children. So
So it's not exactly good money.
right. Surveying is a good business to be in, but
Yeah, it's good money for him.
yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
she
What's he
wasn't
pay?
making good money. Yeah, so Mama definitely probably needed him at home, and he
Mm-hmm.
needed to take care of him. And say what you want, but black families are tight.
They are.
They take care of their own. That
Yes.
boy would not sneak off and leave his mom
No.
by himself. They take care of their mamas. When you work in a nursing home, I've worked in multiple nursing homes, and I've seen two older black women in the nursing home the whole time
Wow.
because families take care of them,
Yeah.
not us. You know, the one was like 100 and some years old, so
Wow.
the people who knew her well enough to take care of her, they were too old to take care of her themselves. You know.
Right. Those are the
So
families that you see come in and see their loved ones all the time, and so that shows you something there. And like I said, at 20, if you have a miserable home life, you're trying to get out at 18. You're not still waiting around at 20 years old to see what's next.
right, yeah. I hate to say it, but I really do feel like the color is definitely going to come into play there that long ago, especially. Not saying it never comes into play now, but I'm just saying especially then there's way less.
Right. You're talking 21 years ago in Georgia. So,
Yeah,
yeah, there definitely could be
sounds,
some ugliness come out in this case.
yeah,
And
that's
then, of course, I'm asking, did they close the case because of his race? Is it, it's no big deal?
yep. Like, oh, nobody's gonna waste time on this. There's so many other things we could be doing, and he just ran away. And it's just too bad. It's too bad that back then that was an acceptable thing, and nobody stood up and said, "Doesn't matter. This is a baby and a mom." It's just, it reminds you of how shitty we were as people, honestly.
Right.
Back, it's just crazy that something this you see these little signs of something, and now I really feel like those things were planted because a boot hanging on a fence is weird anyways, right?
Right.
Because if he was jumping the fence and your boot comes off, you're going to grab it even
Yeah.
if you're running with it in your hand. But for it to just be hanging there is weird all on its own, because I imagine his boots were kind of heavy.
Right. I don't know,
Not many.
there's just so much about the situation. And then, shoot, I forgot what I was going to say now. I had something to say to you, and now I just drew a blank.
How it
I
goes,
just,
right?
I don't know. I wish there was something I can do to bring the story back to the forefront.
Well, I'm impressed that you do all this stuff, because it wrecks my nerves when I hear it. Like, it makes me upset, and it's gonna like bother me all day and be like, why wasn't anything done? What can we do? And there's really nothing we
Oh,
can do.
thank you, because that's what I was
Figure
going to
out what.
say. How many times do you see somebody come up missing, and the community comes together?
Always.
Search parties, everything. Nowhere did they mention a search party. The coworkers went and looked for him when they thought he might be relieving himself. Well, that was a
Yeah,
big
they
help.
didn't even find the evidence.
Or either that or they found it and sat on it.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to see this. And, God, if I knew for sure his mother was still alive, I think I would try to reach out to her, honestly, because this is horrible. And
Yeah.
somebody needs to stand up for this young man and at least give him some peace.
I almost wonder if maybe it was a freak thing, or something did happen, and maybe they were afraid because it was all white, and the black child is the only one that came up missing. Maybe they were worried that it was going to look like a.
Now, keep in mind, we don't know for sure that the rest of the crew was white. I
That's true.
just find it odd that for as often as you see it, a black man, a Puerto Rican man, nothing is mentioned about race to this whole thing.
Yeah. Which, that's the way I would love to see the world in the future, because
Oh, absolutely.
I hate that they're like, oh, a white man saved a black, or a black woman saved a white baby, and it's like, who? Why does that matter?
Right.
Just be like, oh my gosh, this woman saved this baby. Like, the story is just as amazing, no matter.
If
And
not
I
more
feel like,
so, because it almost makes you feel like they're putting that race out there one way or the other, and it's like, oh, okay, so this black woman saved the baby. It's something you don't see. Bull crap.
right, right, I know, and that they want it to seem like almost like you shouldn't, or that's not a normal, like we wouldn't. Oh my
Right.
gosh, how amazing, you helped a human being that was different than you, no matter which way it went. And it's like,
Right.
it's just crazy to me, and I feel like we are teaching our kids that there is a huge difference,
We
and
are.
that it is more amazing if somebody's there, while at the same time we're saying, oh, everybody should be treated equally. But then
Right.
we're going to act truly amazed
I'm totally agreeing with you on that.
Uh, it's tough because obviously 21 years ago, it's a real tough thing to say, you know,
Yes.
because things were even people, see things today as, oh, the world hasn't changed much, blah blah blah. It's still, and I get there's so much more we can improve on, and I'm
Oh,
not
no
saying we
doubt.
can't. I'm just saying we've come a long way. It
Yes, we have,
doesn't
and
feel like it.
we just need to keep moving forward. And those of us who don't have this stupid attitude, because that's what it is, a stupid attitude, we need to keep pushing and standing up.
Yeah,
And that's about the
yeah,
only way we're going to fix this world. And to be honest with you, like I said, I'm just a little old lady doing a podcast, you know. I may not be here for the final result of all of this, but I'm hoping that eventually this world is just equal. You know, I actually,
yeah.
somebody had posted something on Facebook one day, and it had to do with color and everything. And I said, I don't see color. He came back to me, if you don't, you're dumb. No, I'm not. I am not, because I bleed just like you bleed. You bleed just like I bleed. We have the same education, and little by little, we're all getting the same opportunities.
Well, people like to flip it and say that. So when you say I don't see color, that means I'm not judging you because you're Asian, you're Mexican, you're black. I'm not
Right.
saying because you were this, you're automatically good, bad, and
Right.
smart, dumb, good driver, like whatever. When you're saying you don't see color, what you actually mean is I don't judge based on that. You're an equal and
Right.
everybody's equal until proved. But some people take it as I don't see color means I am exactly the same as you, and I'm erasing your culture. Like
Right.
I don't, or I'm seeing, and it's like, no, no, I get. There's going to be differences. I know that, like my friend Eliza is a black, and our sons are best friends, right? I know that me getting ready for the beach and her getting ready for the beach are going to be two different things because my hair is getting soaked and her hair will be damned if it's touching that water.
She's got the good hair.
Yeah, I know that there's differences like that, right? But
Right.
that doesn't make so. Yes, we see color as in we know our days are different. She does much more time and effort on her hair and makeup and shoes, and I don't. And that's person to person thing.
That's because you turned into
And
a little farm lady. Hmm.
and it's just it's I obviously I know she's brown and she knows I'm white,
Well, you're
but
kind of
that doesn't
tan,
mean
but
that we're saying yeah, that doesn't mean that we're saying I don't see color. It's saying I'm not judging based on color, and
right.
that's just this. People try to make it seem like, oh, you don't see it and you need to see it. It's like, do you though? Like, yeah, I need to see it as in I got to make special. Like, there are differences. There are accommodations for it because you're not gonna just push her into a pool. She
Right.
push me into a pool. But at the same time, if we're not gonna be like, oh, you can't do this because you're this, or you can do this because of this. I'm not gonna
Right.
enter a cooking contest against her. That's for dang sure.
Oh, no, especially if she can do the southern cooking, because you'd be, oh, no, 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 no.
She can. Talking about burgers with gravy and stuff, and nothing. They're like, wait, what?
Oh, wait, 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 wait. Wasn't I just down there? How come I didn't get to meet this young lady?
I don't.
Are you holding out on me?
Maybe not on
Mm.
purpose. She
I
wasn't.
want some good old fashioned southern fried chicken.
She's already threatened to come and steal my children or grandchildren for the next cookout. She's like, I'm just gonna come and I'm gonna pull up and be like, jump in, boys. And I'm about to show them good food. I
Good.
told her, I said, girl, they already love dark women. Just stop threatening. Like, they're just not gonna come home. That's on you. That's a you problem.
Right. Oh, Lordy. But no, if she wants to come kidnap me for some good old fashioned cooking, I'll go.
I know the one time I got she had a family reunion. They did fish fry, and she brags about her mac and cheese and all this different food. And she called us to come get a plate, and I didn't know that she was calling us to come get a plate. Nelson and I were working, doing something I don't remember.
On the
I remember
farm.
Katie being like, yeah, can
Yeah.
you come get me? Can I come over?
Right.
You know, like not right now. I'll call him later. But here he was calling, come get a plate. I told him, I said you should have called Devlin. He could drive now. He would have flew over and they would have got
Yes.
plates. Should have brought him.
Tell them they got to try some greens. Uh,
Uh,
depending on how she makes it, I wouldn't touch the chitlins. I can't.
I don't.
I can't get past the smell. And then, when you're told to try them and you're like, oh, no, that's okay. And you turn around, you get a forkful in your mouth and all you taste is the vinegar. No.
Ooh.
Yeah, stay away from
I can't
chitlins.
imagine her doing that because everybody raves about her food. I know she was telling me about her family giving her a hard time saying, hey, aren't you going to cook for us for they had the family reunion like I said, but then like a few days later it was or a couple weeks later, maybe even the next weekend was Father's Day. So they called her and were like, "Well, aren't you going to host the get together for Father's Day and we can have some
Yeah, there you go.
Well, she calls me the pushover, but she told them no, and then sure enough, bet
Mm.
your butt they were all over there.
Well, tell them to try our
Um,
greens. And then when they come home, Grandma will make them greens and they can tell which ones are the best.
girl,
Girl, yeah.
we already know theirs are going to be the better.
Don't we, though? I haven't made greens and oh my gosh.
I don't even eat white people's greens. The only greens
When,
I've ever liked.
well, my oldest son always liked greens, so I made them for him. Last time I actually made them was when he graduated. So I could only imagine what they would taste like today.
Yeah,
I
that's a
know.
long
I know.
time ago.
Grandma's losing hands down. There's no doubt there. I got that.
My favorite time of year is when the church, when I lived in Ohio, there was a church that would make ribs, greens, mac and cheese, and
Yeah.
you could buy like the takeaway things,
Yep.
and they would come and bring it to you. Oh my gosh!
A lot of churches
If
are
you
actually doing that today, and it's a good moneymaker for them.
heck yeah, if you live near a church that has people that are black, if you have oh my gosh, if you have a gospel church or just a church that's at least 50-50, you make sure that when you check out the grill, and if there's a white person on the grill, you just keep going. But if there's a person of color on the grill, you pull in and you eat that food because that meat will melt in your mouth and those greens will be the most amazing thing. And you know what? That's probably why they're still if there are dumb racist people around still, which obviously there are, right?
Right.
Feed them. Feed them some of their food, and that'll end racism. You just haven't eaten.
I don't know. That just might be like one of those things. I'm not prejudiced. I got a black friend.
Oh my gosh.
The-
My favorite thing
yes.
ever to prove that somebody was racist was
Well, I'm
when
glad you have one. Let me go talk to him and let him know you're not really a friend.
No, it's better than that. So I told someone that they were racist when we were about 18 or 19. And I was like, we could never be friends because you're racist. I'm not racist. I work with a black guy.
Nice.
I said,
Nice.
"Oh, you let him work there? How nice of you! Like, what is that? You didn't quit your job because it had somebody different? Wow, congratulations!" I don't know why they thought that was a defense, but they said it with a straight face, and they were very dead serious. And I'm like, oh,
Because unfortunately they are. They don't. They don't
well,
understand
at
the
least
concept. Is all. I don't even know how to explain it honestly.
Well, because the only good thing about that, because you can find some good in just about anything, right? The only good thing about that is at least we're at a point now where people realize being racist is not this cool, fun, or admired trait. Before if I went to you and I was like, I was right, you're like, oh, well, duh, so am I. And now it's like people are realizing like, hey, I can't just go around saying stuff because before I could say it in front of any white person and be fine. Now I say it in front of this white person, she might dot my eye. Like,
Right.
you know, it's not. We're sticking up for each other now. It's not. We're just all trying to be people, and we're all just trying to raise our babies to not be bad people. We just want them safe. We just want them loved. We just want them to have good friends, good memories, and it's like that's not a cultural thing. That's an everybody thing.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's where this world sucks. We all need to come together. Had people come together for this young man the way they do for other people, this may not even be a closed case. This young man may still be here to tell a story.
If this happened now, there would be an uproar. People would be out there. That poor farmer's fields would probably
Be tore
be
up.
trampled on by people going out looking like, is there a shallow grave somewhere? Is there people have those people have all kinds of stuff just on their own person now and do those TikToks and
Right.
um, different shows. They have all kinds of equipment now that I somebody could probably look around and find the. I mean, people have their own dogs that are trained to sniff people out and things out like. And that's the other thing. I mean, 21 years ago, I imagine we had to have been using trained dogs by then.
I believe we were. I really do. So let's.
So you had stuff that smelled like him, you know? You had a boot, you had a piece of cloth, you had a.
Right.
So where were the dogs at?
I don't know because in the last years of the Second World War, the Robo Search Dogs was developed.
Oh,
So, over 35
we know.
over 35 people were found alive with the use of 4 dogs.
Mhm.
So, when was the Second World War? I mean, they've been around forever.
Bad for that.
Me too. And of course,
Dates were never my thing.
let's see. When was the Second World War? This is why I didn't do good in history. September 1st, 1939.
Oof. So yeah,
So,
we had been using dogs for a very long time. By
very
then,
long.
and you had a scent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it sucks because who knows where this body is and who knows if he's getting peace. I mean, if his mom, obviously his mom probably passed away. Man, well, I shouldn't say that. She could have been 30s, 40s. Well, she's 20. Yeah, she might be alive, but it's just too bad that who she may not know, or could be even deeper and crazier than we knew. And since she babysat, maybe she needed the money, and she knew that he did it, that the surveyors did it, and that surveying company paid her off to just let it go.
I couldn't imagine. Because you know me, it wouldn't have happened here. I would have wanted my answers.
Yeah, yeah, and you love crime and true crime and things like that, so
Even if I did, if it were my child, there would be no buying me off. None.
well, yeah, right,
I mean, not saying that this is what happened to the lady. I mean, we're just grasping at straws.
right, right. We're just making up theories, but
I don't know, just the
and
ones
then of
about
course you
Bigfoot and aliens, to me, that just kind of just totally took away from the case because now it's like a joke, you know?
yeah, yeah, and we still. It's just it's too bad that it's a plot like that it's a theory that people say is plausible enough that you're truly considering it because I mean maybe there is aliens, right? I don't know, but so what? They just take one random person every
20 years or so, yeah.
and leave a boot and a piece of cloth behind, like
So,
you know what I
find
mean?
me if you can, you know?
Yeah, we beamed him up, but we just couldn't take the shoe.
Right. And then we threw the other one over there in the farmer's field.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if he just flat out like completely disappeared, no trace, no nothing, then it would be a little bit. I don't want to say a little bit more believable, but you know what? I could see why people who believe in that would be like, yes, this is what happened. This person disappeared in front of other people without a trace.
Right.
I could see why, if you believe in that, that's where you would go. But it's like, no, there was definitely some traces. So, what happened from here to there?
Yes. And like I said, why was there no search party? Why were no dogs brought in the scene? It's just, the whole thing is fishy.
It sure is. It's
They do.
because it's like a piece of your baby, right?
They absolutely do.
So it's like it's horrible that he didn't even have a chance to have a wife or a kid. But it sounds like the only person that got really hurt here was mom,
Right.
and then she was left with nobody
Right.
and nothing and no answers, no nothing. And I just can't imagine letting that go unless you knew of something or were scared.
Scared, I would say maybe. Maybe.
Yeah,
Like I said, as a mother, and you're a mother too. So as a mother, I can't imagine just being satisfied with here. Let's keep this hush hush.
no, that's why it almost makes you wonder. Was it also, hey, do you want to be next?
Yeah.
Take
And
the
then of
shut up, keep
course,
walking.
as weird as it might sound, as a mother, I would want to know: did he die peacefully, quickly? Did he endure pain?
No, that's not weird. I can totally see you wanting. I could see why you would want to know everything.
I would
I
like to at least know that if I had to lose my child, they went quickly and didn't have to endure a bunch of pain and agonizing things.
But yes, yeah, that's what I think. That's with any loved one, any tragedy. You're just like, just tell me they went quick and
Right.
easy, and didn't have time to think or stress or worry about it. But it's just, there's so many things to this case that make it weird.
It's like
And it,
today. Everybody's first question is, were they involved in drugs? That wasn't even brought up. They didn't investigate if he was involved with a bad group of people, if he was into drugs. None of that's even brought up in this. So to me, there's
right,
been no investigation at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's really wrong when something happens. And of course, Facebook is our favorite go to anymore. And the first response you see is got to be drug related. You don't know this. But
right.
but do they need to check it out? Absolutely. Because you
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Right. And honestly, and when you do check that out, so if you find out a neighbor was killed, obviously you're like, oh my gosh, that was my neighbor. This is my neighborhood. They were killed.
Right.
If you hear that your neighbor was killed because of they were selling drugs and owed somebody money, as terrible as it sounds, that's gonna make you feel a little better because you're like, okay, they were involved with the wrong people. They were doing the wrong things. So
Yes.
not that they deserved it, but you're almost like it makes you feel slightly safer because you're like, yeah, it did happen by me, but we were living in two separate lives here because
Right.
I don't do that.
Or
So
if you find out it was somebody that at home minding their own business and it was a random thing, now you got things to worry about.
exactly, you're gonna be freaking out and like you're gonna be more cautious.
Right.
So it usually it matters a lot for the community to know that, and so I would think that there must not have been, or else that would have been the go-to, because that is the first thing they bring up to almost justify a crime happening and kind of sweeping it under the rug.
Right. Oh, it's
Whenever
just like,
something happens and there were drugs involved, that's they can't wait to spit that back out. Be like, yeah, so and so was killed today, but
mm-hmm.
it was due to this drug thing gone with it, because it's like the community's gonna be in an uproar, but they hear that it was drug related and they're gonna be like, oh well.
Right. Well, just like a few months ago, we had a shooting up here at O'Reilly's.
Mhm.
It was a very sad situation. Thankfully, the baby that was involved wasn't hurt. But the woman that got shot just happened to be an innocent bystander. The man who was doing the shooting wasn't on drugs, but he was mentally ill. But it was automatically assumed, well, it had to be drug related. That was the first thing that went around Ashtabula.
Oh.
So,
Because it makes you feel safer if you can say that. It
does
makes
it?
you
Or are
feel,
people just really that sarcastic in life that.
well, when you live in like a high crime neighborhood, that wants to that makes you feel safer. Like, oh, those people are separate from me. Like, yes, this happened on my street. Like we said before, yeah, this happened on my street, but they were involved in drugs, so it's fine.
Right.
But when in reality, crime is crime, and shootings are shootings, and none of it's fine. And that just shows you. So, innocent bystander was killed. So even if it is drug related, there's still non-drug related people around
Right.
that can be
Absolutely.
killed. And
Absolutely.
it doesn't make sense. So if I know they're not saying this is drug related, right? But it wouldn't make sense for it to be anyways, because wait for you to go take a pee in the woods.
Right. But of course, the whole point is they're not saying it's anything related.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, I
that's,
totally get it. There's just, they're not saying anything, and it's sad. That's so sad. And that, it just goes to show you, too, like, how if you don't have friends and family, how quickly your life cannot matter almost. Like, or I should say your death.
right. You're
Because
absolutely right.
there's nobody to push and fight for you. Once you're gone, you're gone.
Yes.
And that poor mama, I mean, I don't know, maybe they did have a bunch of family, you know, that did try to fight, and it all got swept. What was, there was that story of that mama that let her son go to what, New York or something in the city years ago, and he was murdered because of racist stuff. They just came out with the movie. And honestly, I didn't watch it, and I refused to watch it because I hate crying for a whole movie. Since I already know that baby's gonna be
Yes.
back. Can't do it. Can't do it. But I mean, she had to fight really, really, really hard to try to get anything done, and they had family everywhere, and it's like you're just told to back then you're just told to shut up and deal with it. Be happy it wasn't you, and it's just
It's a sad thing. It just, the whole thing is, none of it makes sense. There's nowhere in life where you should lose a loved one and be told to sit back and shut up. Oh, we lost her. She's out on the farm, I think, with the animals because I'm hearing animals. Did the animals hang up on you?
you did. I thought you hung up on me.
Nope. I didn't touch the phone. I got it sitting in the rack, so I don't do anything.
Oh, it must have been me. You're in my pocket.
We're in our pocket. All right. Is there money in that pocket?
But yeah, you're right. There's no way. There's no. It's tough because it's like this should not be allowed to happen to anyone in a civil society. Like we don't live. It's not the Wild West anymore.
Right.
Don't go around shooting your neighbor, or, taking wives and.
Absolutely.
I'm the
So-
sheriff now.
I think I'm going to just try, because, getting court records, things like that are very hard to do. But I'm going to try and look deeper into this.
For sure,
And-
what they didn't release to people.
Yeah. I just have to go about figuring out. I wouldn't even want court records or anything. I would like a copy of the investigation, how it took place. You know what I'm saying?
Would you have to hire a PI or something to get that?
Actually, I'm thinking maybe I'll try the police station. I'll start with, I guess. Say, hey, do you remember this? And I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's beneficial for them if they give it up, because if they're not hiding anything, they're just going to say, hey, we cooperated. We even gave this to a lady doing a podcast, We have nothing to hide. The old grandma that's entertaining herself.
Yep. Yeah, it would be very interesting to see, but I have a feeling no matter what you find out, it's obviously going to be broken hearts all around, right? But
I know. And that's what's hard, about doing the crime podcast. Some things you come across, like I'm hoping one day just do like silly crimes,
yeah.
Which-
yeah, you could do like the world's dumbest crime
Right.
or whatever.
Well, I was watching, I think it's called Late Night Traffic Stops or something like that. Oh my God, I was rolling. And the one guy, he's just like, oh, okay, all right, thank you. All right, oh, okay. So he's like, well, if you need anything, you need to go over here to the store before they close. A little bit later, they're getting called back to the store. They get in, nobody's in there. But lo and behold, on the counter is this guy's credit card. So they go right back over there, and he's like, I know, I left my credit card. And they're like, did you break it over there? Yes. He said, my dog needed something to eat. He said, she closed the doors on me saying they were closed. He said, so I broke in and I left my credit card so I can come back and pay tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
And then he informs them,
Drunk?
no, but apparently he had weed in his car. So, he had already admitted to that. And then he just keeps rambling on and on and on, and the cops are laughing. This is too good to be true. When he says, "Well, there's acid in my car."
Oh
So
no.
now they're ripping the car apart looking for acid. When one of the cops speaks up and he says, "Hey, he ate it."
Oh my gosh.
And then you hear a cop in the background going, I can't believe this. This is too easy, too good to be true."
Oh my gosh.
So yes, those cops had to run for their money that night, but it was hilarious.
I've seen a video where a cop's getting ready to retire, and he's just he's just like he's just screaming at this guy because it's like this is why I'm done. I guess he was driving by the guy flicked him off or whatever.
Hmm.
So he pulled him over and he's like, I'm minding my own business. This is why I'm done with you people. I can't wait to retire. Like, I didn't do nothing. I had no intention of pulling you over, and then you just flicked me off. And the amount of disrespect that comes with police, the job now it's tough.
It is, and
It's a tough job.
I'm not that I say everything's okay, but I'm going to shed a little light on this. When you say you have good cops out there, a lot of people say, no, you don't. And they say that because we do have those good cops, but when they know the bad cops are doing stuff wrong, they're not stopping it. Therefore, that makes them the bad cop as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can kind of see that, but at the same time, so if you're the only good cop and all the people above you are doing the wrong thing,
What are you supposed to do?
yeah, what can you do other than make your small difference and you try to do the right thing and train your people to do the right thing and then hopefully rise up? I mean, so maybe on the surface it doesn't seem like they're doing anything, but maybe they are. Maybe they're slowly watching, slowly building, slowly trying to. You really got to think about it and figure it out. It's not
Yeah,
that you can just change and wipe everybody out in a day. Like
that is
it's
true.
so you don't know what they're doing, and they may not even know because if you're a bad cop and I know you're a good cop, I'm obviously good at what I do because I've been getting away with it, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to show you that I'm doing the wrong thing. You might suspect it, but there's a good chance a bad cop's not doing the wrong thing in front of the right people.
Absolutely.
You're not committing. You're not going to do the things in front of people that you know are going to report you. That unless you got something over them or know the people above you are going to support you and watch it. And there has been instances of people saying, I did go, I did report.
Hmm.
They said they'd take care of it,
And
nothing got
right.
done.
And sometimes
Whatever.
if you do report it, you're considered a rat.
Yeah, and
You
then
can end up dead.
right, and it's like, well, then why are you still a cop? Why don't you just quit? And it's like, well, so if I see something bad, I joined because I want to help, I want to save people, I want to do the right thing. Well, then I find out people in my precinct are doing the wrong thing. And they're like, well, then you should quit and move on. Well, okay, but that's not changing the bad stuff that's happening. If I just
Right.
quit, that's not changing anything either. But at least if you call and I'm on shift and I show up, I can help you. You can look forward to me coming, me taking care of you. At least you have one person. You did have nobody.
Right.
You had now you've got at least me that I'm going to show up, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to help
Yes.
you.
And then there's
And
also the
sometimes that's
fact,
the only power you have.
and there's also the fact, and I'm a true believer in this. When you get pulled over and stuff, when they say put your hands on the steering wheel, you put your hands on the steering wheel. When
Yeah.
they say, put your hands out the window and open the door, you do that. I'm not saying that all cops, follow through with that. Some one little mishap or one slow movement. Some of them are, I'm gonna say obnoxious. That's the only way I know how to put it. But just keep doing what you're supposed to do, and nothing comes back to you.
Or you do what you're supposed to do, and when they do the wrong thing, now it's on video.
Right.
You
Well,
doing the right thing, complying. Nobody can justify that. Nobody can say, yeah, but, like, because now they all wear cameras. So
Yes.
that way people can't, because of course you have people who are coming forth that something horrible did happen to them,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have people that are coming forth and lying about it,
Right.
and it's ruining it for the people who are telling the truth. Well, now there's cameras. So now we've seen you scream and spit in that cop's face before he lost his mind. Or
Right.
now we've seen this person saying, "Hey, I didn't do anything. Can I ask why you're pulling me over?" And you cop flips out, yanks him out of the car, and does whatever. When all they said is, "Why are you pulling me over?" Which is something that you're allowed to know. Well, you have to, you know.
Right.
So
I like the
I
ones
feel
where they
like the
do tell
cameras.
you, I don't owe you an explanation. If you're pulling me over for a tail light, I don't need handcuffs. Just simply say, fix it or give me a ticket because it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
and some
uh,
of those are lies just to get you pulled over because they suspect you of something else.
yes, which
I got
they're allowed
told
to do.
my license plate light was out one time when I got pulled over.
Oh,
And the funny thing is, when I checked it, most certainly was not out when I got home. Weird.
uh-huh.
But
What were you doing that made him feel like he could pull you over?
I think
Or
it's because of I was in the harbor near Taco Bell on 20.
that's not the harbor, but okay.
Oh, sorry. I was in Ashtabula. But it was the middle of the night. Well, not the middle of the night, but it was when the bars were closing, one or two, and I was the designated driver.
Okay.
And I had Bobby, who is the worst person to drink with, if you're trying not to
Oh,
get in trouble.
I remember you telling me that story. Yes.
Yeah, and then I took home um, one of Mario's cousins, actually. I forget his name. He had long hair. He's a good looking boy. He was a security guard. But I actually used him for safety because we didn't know that we were in the bad part and somebody was following us. And Bobby, in her drinking state, was like, the guy was following us out. She's like, "She has a gun." I did not have a gun. But he was like, "I want to see your gun. Where is this gun?" And following us to the car. So I seen him. I wish I could think of his name. And was like, "I'm with him." And the guy asked, "Are you with her?" And he was drinking heavily. And he was like, "Nope."
Yeah.
I go, and he's like, "So you're not?" And I was like, "Yes, he is." I was like, "Yes, you are." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I am." So then the guy left us alone. So we got lucky. But
Right.
uh, when it was him and his friend, because I said, "Well, how are you guys getting home?" And they were going to walk, and it's just not a safe thing to do.
Right. So in other words,
So,
the officer saw a car full of people. I'm assuming at least one
so
guy was black.
me and Bobby, the two guys in the back, were actually. So when I got pulled over, they were like half asleep in the trunk in the back, and they were
The
like, "What's going
trunk.
on?" And I'm like, "I said, oh, the back seat, sorry." Telling, isn't it? I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, sorry guys, my dad's a cop. He must have found out I had two black guys in the car." And their eyes got huge, and they're like, "Wait, talk about sober real quick." And I was like, "I'm just kidding."
Well, you should at
That
least
was
let the
not a
cop do what he
cop.
had to do first because you need him sober.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just funny because one, my dad doesn't care about who you're hanging out with, but two, he's an electrician, so not a cop. But
Nope, he'll just
yeah,
electrocute you. That's all.
yeah. So little Bobby, who has had too much to drink, the cop says, "How much have you had?" And I'm like, "I haven't had any in a while. I had one." Bobby's going, "Oh, that's not true. Remember you had that one here." "No, we didn't start that. We started this time. Remember you did have that." I'm like, "Bobby, shut the fuck up."
I got this under
Shut
control.
up. The cop is literally at my window. He can hear everything you're saying because you're loudly. And he's just kind of, I think he's feeling bad for me at this point because she's going, he goes, "Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is buzzed and 10 is drunk, how drunk are you?" And I said 0. And she goes, "Oh, God, that wasn't on the test. That wasn't on the test. That wasn't an answer. We're going to jail. You're going to jail. He knows you're drunk." We're going. And
Uh oh, I think we might be losing her.
he
There
goes,
he goes.
he said, "I'm so sorry." The cop did, and he went back to his car, I said, because one is buzzed and 10 is drunk. I'm not even buzzed. And she's like, oh, that was so smart. I would have failed. I said, yes, because you're a 10. You're at a 10,
I
girlfriend.
think you might want to find some different drunks to hang around with. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we hung out one other time after that. She was trying to convince a cop to arrest me. Said she told him that I liked getting out of handcuffs, and he got a very serious look, and he said, "Do you like being handcuffed?"
No, not really.
No, no, sir. No, sir, I do not. Thank you.
Good
But
Lord.
that was the last. That was the last time Bobby and I drank together.
Wow. Well, I
I'm not
thank everybody for.
fun enough.
Oh, listen to you. You got to be the DD though. You know, isn't that what it's called? DD.
Yes. Otherwise, if you just leave it up, if you hang out with her, you might end up in jail. So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful who you're. Really, everybody needs to do a test run at home before you go hang out with somebody. Here's a PSA.
Yes. Let's see how this
Give them
works.
3 drinks at home. Figure out their personality. Because are they gonna try to fight everybody? Are they gonna try to get cops to arrest you every single time you hang out? These are important details you need to know before you go out in public.
It's crazy.
Parents don't teach you that part.
Well, Angelina, I thank you for calling in and I thank you for your input because it sure was delightful and it all makes sense. I do. I'm going to try and dig deeper in here and if anything, see if I can get some answers because something is
I'm
definitely
very
fishy.
interested to know if you do.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. It's definitely a very good choice on the case. So it's a good one.
Yeah, I saw that and it was heartbreaking. And then when I saw the survey of did he just take off? Did he this? And then the aliens and Bigfoot, I thought, you know what? They're making a mockery of this case and it can't be left that way.
And a true professional isn't going to say that. And I don't know that that came from the cops themselves, but obviously the running away, starting a new life did. But it's just weird to rest on that when there was no proof.
Yeah.
And you figure they couldn't even had nowadays. If you think somebody runs away, you can check their phones, you can read text messages, you can see computer messages, you can. Hey, they didn't see that 21 years ago. So where's any type of evidence that he was
Yeah.
going to disappear if his family says, his mom said he was perfectly acting normal and fine.
Right.
She didn't find anything weird at home. She didn't say, oh, he took 3 outfits.
Right. And a mother knows. I mean, let's face
Yeah,
it.
I'm sure she still did his laundry if he lived at home. Judging from my knowledge of men, I'm going to take a leap and say she still did
Well,
his laundry.
everybody has to understand we have a family full of men. We have the husbands, the sons, the grandchildren, which are sons, and everything's man, man, man around our lives.
It definitely is. I had to get some female animals just so.
I was going to say she had to go get a female pig just to try to even it out a little bit.
Yeah, but then I got a male.
Does everybody remember Green Acres? I was up there, I was singing it. She thought I was singing something else, which I won't repeat, and I'm surprised she even thought I said that.
I
So,
was shocked that you said it.
so then she gets this other little pig and names it Wilbur. Remember Wilbur on the farm of Green Acres? All I could do was laugh.
I think it's funny that the generational differences is that so Green Acres is you and me and Johnny are like it's Charlotte's Web.
There you go.
So it's
I forgot
isn't it
about
funny
Charlotte's
how
Web,
the same
honestly.
thing. Well,
Yeah.
I remember because I used to argue with my mom that the pig's name was Charlotte, and my mom argued back with 3-year-old me that Charlotte was the spider, and of course 3-year-old me was not having it. No, that doesn't make sense. It's the pig, and my mom stacked into my dad's truck, hitting it, arguing with her 3-year-old child. And she got a ring shortly after from my dad. She calls it her hitting his truck ring or something. I
Is
forget
that what I
exactly.
got to do? Oh, wait, when Sonny gets home, remind me so I go back into his truck.
After you back in the truck, apparently you have to go in the house crying, packing your stuff, saying, I'm leaving, you're going to kill me.
Yeah, I could probably handle that too, although he knows I'm not going anywhere. So he'll be like, remember, this is your house.
Yeah, his stuff and be like, you're leaving, you're going to kill me, you have to leave. Just start packing his
There
stuff.
you go. Now, depending on how rough work was, he might say, okay, because I'm just going to go get drunk and forget it all. But it's been a pleasure with you guys. I'm going to come up with a more solid time. Right now, I'm just kind of playing around, seeing what's convenient for everybody. I know Angelina here, with her schedule, the kids and everything, she really likes to tune in live. So I'm taking all that into consideration so we can make this happen. And I definitely like you calling in and bantering with me on this subject. Definitely makes it more interesting, more fun to do. I'm sure people don't want to just sit here and listen to me read stuff.
You were doing great. You were doing perfectly fine. But I figured I would offer in case, because especially since I know you got to be a little overwhelmed going from not having so much help to zero.
I know. I even messaged him, "What are you doing?" Because I wanted to make sure if I ran into a snag, because he can get into my computer from home.
Yeah.
So and he still hasn't answered me. He's thinking, I'm not falling for this one.
You did great. You did so great. You didn't need me, but of course, call me anytime. Anytime.
Well, actually, you call me anytime you want to chime in, and anybody else can do that. I do have a number, but until I get that screen where I can flash it on the back of me, I can't see it.
Oh. Aw.
Yeah, but
Well, that'll be a cool new feature, though. Get your green screen and you can put the number on the background. That's awesome.
yes, and like before, we used what I call my logo,
Mhm.
and I have DJ working on teaching me how to actually put pictures up of whom we're talking about and what. I think,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I think that, especially with it being a live podcast, I think that would really help with putting a story together and trying to visualize it.
Yeah, because unfortunately, when you're looking at a case that old, that really did change things. Maybe a case from today, it might not
Right,
change so much, but I feel like from 21 years ago, it
right. Especially when
definitely,
I'm sure there's more Christopher Tompkins out there today.
yeah. And I
So
think either way, it was already a very interesting, like, what the heck kind of case, and you already had all these theories, but then you throw that on top,
right,
and it's just like, huh, well, wait a second.
and like
That
I say,
opens up a crap ton more.
right, and you're going through it with Devlin, especially. They hit an age where you're not taking my picture. So the fact that you have a 20-year-old young man that's gone and they're using what looks to be a high school picture, that sure explains a lot. He's definitely your typical teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, nowadays it'd be hard to not find a picture of somebody that was taken at by, there's so many. Everybody has cameras now, whether it's on their phone or on their house or in their woods. Or I know people who have cameras just set up in their chicken coop. So I mean,
Uh,
there's no way that if somebody went missing now that somebody.
right.
Oh, I'm sorry, my guinea decided she
I
wants
wondered what I was hearing. I could hear something earlier, and I was like, "Oh, she must be outside." Uh, I was going to say, yeah, that Guinea's talking for us. He wants to put his 2 cents in.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry.
It's fine. So yeah, I am going to do some more digging, and if there's a chance I can find out who this young man's mother is and reach out to her if she's still alive, maybe we could actually get her on the show and hear her side.
Well, and being all this time passed, if she was scared to say something before, maybe she's not anymore. Maybe by
Right,
now she'll say, "Forget it. What are they gonna do?
right,
Half the people are dead, or they've moved on, or I'm
right.
old and I don't care. What are they gonna do to me?"
Exactly.
It would be very interesting to know.
Okay, don't expect this to happen within the next couple of weeks because it's definitely going to take some time. But keep his name at the top of your head, and we're
I
going to
feel
see
like
what we can
you're
do.
ending a season of my favorite show, and now I have to wait until next year to see it.
I mean, if I can find anything out, I'll talk about that as we go. I'm not just going to wait till I have things together and say, "Oh, by the way."
She's leaving us on a cliffhanger, people.
Yeah.
She's already that heavy into showbiz that she leaves us on a
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Everybody's complaining about that, like with Tyler Perry right now. What a cliffhanger! Now we gotta wait. No, Tyler Perry's teaching me all I know.
Too far.
No, it really does. But no, I am. The more I talk about the story, the more it bothers me. The more I'm willing to try to see what I can find out. So as I find things out, I will be bringing them up.
I can't wait to hear it. Can't
So,
wait to find out more.
okay, thank you so much for your time, honey, and I hope you pop back up again next week and the weeks after because this was really fun.
Aw, thanks. I had fun too. Thanks for having me.
I thank you guys for here. And by the way, that unmade bed is just unmade. I'm trying to get situated for company pretty soon here, so it's not that I live that way. So I thank you all for tuning